Hello and welcome to the Gold Advantage on the Best of 3 Network, where we bring you the latest League of Legends competitive news. This week we're going to cover the incredible match between DRX and EDG, including what is, I consider, probably the best moment at Worlds ever, as well as we're going to talk about the LPL, how RNG failed me big time and how I got it so wrong, and the LPL's final hope, JDG. Can they survive against a T1 that, to be honest, is looking incredible? I'm your host, Nikita. With me are Scoot and BNB. Scoot seems to be either rising from the dead, asleep. I don't know what his bid is going to be this morning, but I'm sure we'll see it in a second. How are you doing, BNB?
I'm doing great. I missed last week. I'm glad to be back, still watching all the matches. I think you nailed the intro. Like, is this the best Worlds ever? I don't have the historical context. I've been mostly in this since 2019, 2018, and really gambling on it since 2021. I don't know. Has Scoot arisen?
Nikki, why would I be asleep? Just tell the viewers. Take a guess, honestly.
Because you're tired from predicting everything right.
You know what?
Don't give him that much credit. Don't give him that much credit. He hasn't predicted everything right. We can start with DRX if you want.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted of you doubting T1 every fucking week. I'm also tired of hyping up RNG, and thank God we don't have to anymore. Because that, we came into this world with this storyline of RNG's top 4. They're looking great.
The dark horse to win it all.
But no,
yeah.
Absolutely shuddered and folded by the bot lane.
There's a couple of...
That's where we're
you know what? Got a bit of slander
crazy?
Towards me about being an analyst. And I'll just remind people that people like Azael, I will dominate. A lot of people, LS, were predicting RNG to be good. So if I have to quit my career, there's a lot of bigger and better people that need to quit their careers too. How did I get this so wrong? And I actually kind of maintain I didn't. So in my humbleness, I will just, I'll say.
Okay, that's actually insane. No, that's insane. That's insane.
Wrong.
That's insane. That's insane. That's insane.
We're right. So I'll just premise it.
Yeah.
People seem to think I was saying that Zeus was bad. Guy is incredible. There's no.
You said it
he's
several
not
times.
bad. There's no way he isn't. But my point was around.
I
think 369 and
Breathe
were playing are as good as him, and then I thought the rest of the team was playing worse. So T1, and that would just handicap Zeus, and that's the problem with the series, and that's the problem for Zeus because he wasn't. And prior to this series, I kind of maintain, Scoot, you were even saying it prior to Worlds, Guma has not been looking the best.
He wasn't looking himself, but then he had the highest KD. He had the highest KD in the group stage.
That I'll admit. And I wrote that down to being against subpar opponents. Clearly it wasn't. No worries with that
a little bit.
Faker and Ona,
then he bought
You tell me, Faker and Ona, were they looking like top tier Faker and Ona coming into Worlds or not?
Owner has looked the entire year pretty unbelievable. Okay. I stand by that. Faker, I think group stage he had shining moments. I don't think he was the greatest mid laner
and during
at Worlds
LCK
during the group stage, and then. they lost the final. So
that's what I'm basing my info on.
Guys.
But ultimately,
you are justifying something that doesn't even need to be justified. RNG didn't even come in first in their own group play-in stage. Literally,
what my culmination was really going to be is just T1.
Guess what?
Stepped it up.
No, not even that. Fucking RNG could make anyone look good that was out of those 8. I think RNG loses to fucking Rogue. The reality is Faker, overrated mid laner. Zeus, great. You look good compared to Breathe. No fucking shit. What's going to really happen now is you got 369 coming, and T1 better watch the fuck out. And come at me.
When did the CCP T1 hire you?
First T1 can look good against anyone if they're playing fucking RNG. Anyone would look good.
Second of all, you just called Faker overrated. He's the greatest league player of all time and the greatest esports player of all time.
I bet you think LeBron James is right now the best player in the NBA. Get out of here.
Okay, no, I don't actually think LeBron James is the best player in the NBA right now. I'd argue that it's probably Giannis first.
That's not even an
This
argument.
is not a basketball podcast, though.
It is Giannis, but this is my point. You're going with the old washed-up mid laner when it's just like LeBron James.
It's not... I think he has a great supporting cast around him.
As much as I've been painted as a T1 hater, I think T1 played so fucking well. Like, game 1 Ona was incredible.
Well, you need to think that T1 played really well.
They played super
RNG
well. They played so well, guys.
You also are on the payroll. You're not forgotten.
The CCP payroll.
Okay, we'll start with this. The gap in support between those two teams is immense. Not even fucking close.
Yeah, he was my MVP.
Not even close. Also, everybody loves Micro in League of Legends and loves watching Faker fucking chuck around Shuriken with a Kali and do all this cool shit. But to make a macro call down game 2, game on the line, you will lose if you don't get Baron or if you die in the Baron pit. To make that call decisively and go get the Baron is why I am so high on T1 after this week, but also why I've been high on them throughout the last 2 years, not to mention I'm a huge T1 Maxi fan, whatever. That is such an insane call. So decisive, wins you the game, lets you turn the entire game around, and also the sustain to use that Baron as like a proxy threat, keep the game alive for a certain amount of time, and know that you're going to win an Elder fight later is insane. We can't look past that.
I think there are like three kind of like situations I want to highlight of just like the mental fortitude. Zeus, who's down 0-8 and still does not tilt off the face of the earth and still stays relevant in the game, and then suddenly in one fight he did something like 6,000 damage and like completely turned it around. Yeah, and, like just having that kind of mental fortitude to be, I've been camped, I'm 0-8, I'm doing terribly, but I can still delivering value to my team. Incredible. RNG was broken by that game 2 loss after game 2 and the series was done. But then on the flip side, you have DRX, Deft failing to kill the inhibitor. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, the Nexus, moment in all of League history, I think. Like there are, when we talk about backdoors, memorable moments, like this is going to go down in history. The fact that they could come back and win the next game and just mentally be like, okay, we lost it and we were a pixel 1 second away from winning and yet still coming back, like that is incredible mental fortitude.
The only reason it's going to go down in history is because they're the first team to win 4 games in a series of best of 7. Or best of best of.
Right. Yeah, well, you were so close to having a great point there, like you were going to nail that, and just
I fucking blew it.
Yeah, you did.
The first
second
team to ever win.
Just like Deft. Just like Deft. You were literally a pixel away from having something matter.
Yeah. Me and DRX have a lot in common in that way because we also are both massively underrated by you two idiots and continue to fucking come back.
I don't discredit anything.
Winning.
The only it scares me when you take the same pick as me, and that is fine. But I respect your picks nonetheless.
I've been riding the DRX. I mean, no joke, has been the most underrated team consistently throughout Worlds of the best. You guys keep sitting on here shitting on them.
No, so what I would...
I've been the one
listen, what I was going to say...
Their statistics show it. It's not just me watching them. The statistics back it up. This team's good.
What statistics?
Listen, what I was going to say about your...
group statistics, of course they've done well then.
No, I'm only... Right now, I'm only looking at 12-18, which I think does go back to...
To playing groups, yeah.
All right, what I was going to say about your first...
Well, unfortunately, all right, I'll shift it to... their statistics are only going to get better if I shorten the window.
I think Zeka he plays so well. He really carries his shit out of it. The first half of the week was like Rogue just rolled over and died. Game 1, at one point,
I didn't want to fight.
I had the over, 2 kills away. 3 Rogue members just went and sat in the fountain. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, at least try to defend and give me my over. Try. So they lost me goddamn money. And then they didn't even fight. And I was like, if this is how you're behaving game 1, where you're not even going to attempt to save your Nexus, this series is chalk. So I was very disappointed in that.
Rogue didn't want to fight.
Obviously, T1 played so well. Demolished RNG. Quick 3-0, which was a bit of a shame. And then we literally had 10 games of just incredible gameplay.
It is maybe, I don't have the history here, but this is probably one of the best Worlds of all time. At least since I've been watching, this is the best one I've watched so far. I would also like to not let Chris get off the hook for his statements about RNG being the 4th team in a region, all that, because it's once again that we walk into a Worlds and there's this stigma against the LCK. Like, yeah, they have one really fucking good team in Gen.G. And then the next 3 are like, oh, they're iffy, they're not China, they're not as good. And what do we end up with but 3 LCK teams in semifinals? And we're probably looking at an LCK
not only 3 LCK teams, 16 of the 20 players that are going to be starting in semis are all Korean. And even some of the players for the Chinese teams are Korean.
Well, one of them. So yeah,
one. But I'm saying for like even I'm saying for even the quarterfinals, a number of the Chinese teams have Koreans on board.
My counterpoint is that basically since 2018, Korea hasn't been that good. You know, you look at 2018.
Damwon Kia. I don't know if you remember.
That's the only one.
Like, say the line, Chris. Say the line. Say the line.
Go on. You know you want to say it.
Say the line.
Back when I predicted Damwon Kia to win.
The one you predicted. Damwon Kia.
2020.
If you look at 2018, you have LPL team winning it all, and then 2 LEC teams. Fnatic coming in second, G2 third, sharing, and then fourth Cloud9, or vice versa, however you want to do it. Third.
I mean, Damwon came in second place last year.
2019, LPL team, Fun plus Phoenix wins it all. G2 comes in second, and then Invictus Gaming and SKT third, fourth. So quarterfinals, best performance. 2020, Top Esports third, fourth. Suning second place, G2 third, fourth. So only one LCK team. 2021, again, like giving you this history lesson. EDG first place. Damwon second place, T1 Gen.G third, fourth. They have not won the last 5 years. They've won once, and a lot of times they're actually bailing out in semi or quarters. And
EDG, as far as I'm concerned, when we have this conversation, is Korea. So that really just
all right. That negates everything. So
they play extremely Korean league.
And we can argue also that LPL teams that are winning have Korean players on them. So, you know, like there's a lot of that stuff that can be said. But prior to 2017, 2018, LCK was so dominant. SKTs, the Samsungs, like it is on a whole nother level.
Well, welcome back.
That's right, baby. Welcome back.
We'll
3 of the 4 semifinal teams. Welcome back.
And the only one, by the way, the only Korean team got knocked out is by another Korean team. So
and by the way, that was a fucking banger of a match.
What a series! I don't think the better team won. I think Gen.G
fucking say this.
And I'll tell you why. It's because for some reason, and I went into this saying that Damwon, the meta suited them so well, and it did when they chose to play it. For some weird reason, games 1 and 2, they draft Lucianami. And it's like, what are you doing? You're not good at Lucianami.
Yeah,
like,
lot of people
it's not
drafting
even
Lucianami.
Yeah, but that is not what they are good at. They are good at the scaling Aphelios late game carry.
Well, and they fucking almost overcame themselves. Gen.G tried to fucking blow it multiple times.
They've got Canyon, arguably the best jungler at Worlds.
He's okay.
They put him on carry jungler game 1, and they blew game 1. That was like, despite all their efforts, they kind of threw that. So, but then running it back, the way they put the champs on, and you can see it once they shift in game 3 to putting people like Naguri on, Sejuani having him on a carry, the Swain mid lane, Dogdam going on the Aphelios. It's like everything shifted. And all I'm saying, I'm not saying that they would have won both of game 1 and game 2, but I wish they had played to their strengths game 1 or game 2, because I think then it ends up in a 3-1. Now, Gen.G pulled it out. Incredible game 5. At the end of the day, they're the ones who got the win.
I think it is one missed Canyon smite on a Baron away from winning that series.
Yeah.
I think it is very hard to win a series when you give up blue side advantage that early. That's half of my takeaway here. I also agree with you guys to an extent, but also Showmaker's got to be the best mid laner at Worlds this year.
Except when it becomes Shoemaker, all right? And like, unfortunately,
that's my text.
Are you?
So he's doxing my text.
Literally.
What do you mean? I'm the one who texted you.
No,
I said it first.
You
Nikki,
Shoemaker.
Nikki. Or not Nikki.
Yeah, I typoed it. That's what. Yeah, you're doxing me.
Aren't you the one who says that Faker's the best mid laner in the world?
Faker's the best mid laner of all time.
Yeah, I get that.
He's not currently the best mid laner in the world.
LeBron is not. LeBron is. I don't think he's the GOAT. I think MJ is. But nonetheless, LeBron is up there as one of the greatest of all time, whereas Giannis is the current best.
This has been my point.
Agree.
This is what I said at the beginning.
This is my point. And Scoot keeps fighting me on it.
I'm not fighting anyone. I just said he's the best of all time. That doesn't mean he's currently the best. I think he's currently
Shoemaker. What about him?
Probably top 2, if not top 3 right now.
I mean, Chovy.
It depends on what you think of Chovy's performance in that series.
Look, that was just an incredible series. Like those both days were just so hype. I think with so many intense moments.
Could you imagine letting Silas through for a second in a game 5 must win to get through to the next round of Worlds?
I mean, he did it both ways, didn't he?
It was so ridiculous.
He just destroyed.
It's so fun to watch Silas with like just a sedge right in front of him. Just go to town. Like,
I mean, poor Scout.
Unbelievable.
He just was abused.
I mean, it was like 4
I
solo
think also,
kills.
I will also say this though. There is a certain amount of chatter about how much EDG inted during group stage, and I think a little bit of that carried over as well. I think DRX was the better team here. I had a bad read on it. EDG still almost did win 3-0.
Well, to that point, to kiss some players goodbye, but to pour some respect on their name. Viper, like, holy fucking shit. He was trying to drag that team across the finish line, despite themselves. I mean, what Viper did to keep them even in that game 5 was fucking insane. Amazing.
They really don't want Deft to retire.
Yeah, that was like good for him also. Even if it is his last year, like to win on your birthday, to win like that, to mentally have the fortitude to come back from it, I think is huge. I think that covers like all the kind of topics. If you've enjoyed those topics, we would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. Helps us out a lot. Well, now I think that's kind of
the dislike and a hate comment.
Recaps there. Yeah, hate comments, nice comments. Some people were nice. Join our Discord also if you want to chat about League. Looking forward, semis. So 3 LCK teams, 1 LPL team. We're kicking it off with like essentially the last hope of the LPL JDG against a T1 that is looking so clean.
That hope is going to be wiped out very quickly.
Well, let's look at the lines. So JDG is the underdog at 2.01, T1 at a 1.81 on the money line. So pretty even. I think it's like great. It's great odds on both sides. I'm pretty happy with that.
All right, it's not great odds on both sides. It should be way more of a gap between the two teams because T1 actually face checks into this match really well. Like really, really well. This is a team that was very prominent for picking Draven a lot, facing a team that relies on 369 gapping top lane to sustain for long enough into a match to where they can win team fights. The one thing about JDG that scares me a lot is their ability to team fight, and I've said this over and over, their ability to understand what abilities are up on the other team and know when they can take like a lot of calculated risks. I think they make plays with like very high expected value that other teams would not make because they understand this really well.
3v5 that won them a fight, and it's like exactly. What are you doing? That's what I'm saying. And it's like you're going and you're like, oh my god,
but they know like
oh no, they've just won because they've played it out so perfectly. Someone in our Discord, Knight, welcome Knight to the Discord. A little shout out to you. Thanks for the comment. But he made a great point. Paired them to like a pack of wolves, a wolf pack that's like running you down, tiring you out, waiting for the right shot, and then suddenly they all leap in. And it's that sort of gameplay that I think is the way it goes.
Zeus is not going to get gapped like that. And the problem is, even if he does, the other 4 players on the map are better than the players on EDG or JDG. Sorry. So I think the clock's ticking for JDG to get eliminated from this tournament. I would say probably 3-0. Although I think there could be a weird draft in there, so I'm gonna tentatively say 3-1. But my actual prediction here is 3-0 T1. A lot of Draven, a lot of Kalista, close out games very quickly, and that's what they're gonna do. And we've seen that they have the macro to do that. They know the map well enough, and they will run you down if need be.
Minus 2.5 T1 is a 5.96. So that's pretty good odds.
I would take the -1.
Minus 1.5, 2.81.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a really.
I like that a lot.
I actually think so. -1.5 on T1 is 2.81 is huge. But if you don't like that, I would actually say the over 4.5 maps at 2.48 is really good.
Scoot,
you'd like to think.
Scoot, I have news for you.
Not going 4.5.
JDG is.
You got news for me.
I'm shocked that you're being a maxi on JDG.
I just think this is a team, like, they came into Worlds as arguably one of the best, if not the best team. This is a team that has done nothing to suggest otherwise. They went through Group B only losing 1 game to a very talented Damwon Kia in what was very well noted as the Group of Death against EG and G2. They have then gone on, and, I mean, look, they played a fucking rookie team in Rogue, so that's an easy 3-0. They probably really haven't been tested other than group stage yet. But look, I think this T1 team is very talented. Again, I think when you play RNG, of course you're going to win 3-0. Again, playing another rookie team.
We're forgetting, and what you pointed out as well, is that they lost to Damwon, and T1 is better than Damwon.
They lost 1 game to Damwon. They beat him the other time.
Yeah, and they're about to lose 3 straight to T1.
I think this is I'm not going anything other. Nikki, to your point, I'm huge on the over 4.5. I think this will be a very tight match. I'm not gonna sit here and say JDG minus 2.5 on Team 1 or even minus 1.5. I think it's gonna be a money line on either side. I like JDG. I just like the matchups. Yagao over Faker right now. I like 369 over Zeus. Hope probably not as strong as Gumayushi. Like, that guy's a fucking boss. And Kyria, like, the bottom lane, unequivocally, definitely supporting T1 on that.
Jungle also T1 easy.
Oh, I don't know. Kanavi's
great,
dude.
dude.
Kanavi. What are you talking about?
Owners,
so clutch.
No. Owners pathing in the last series.
It was, but like Kanavi's pathing and like mental games are incredible.
All I'm saying, this is a game this is a meta that currently favors the top lane. Although, and I've in listening to a lot of the commentary, it does seem to not be as overly skewed initially as people were thinking early on. So it is kind of a bit more balanced, bottom and top. 3-2 either direction. I just like JDG in this capacity. Maybe part of it's me just not wanting to have 2 Korean teams in the final. But 2.01 and over 4.5.
If you go carry top and it doesn't work, the game's kind of
that's the thing is like it's about going bruiser top. It's like you don't need to go like heavy carrying. I think it's just gonna be a huge match. I love the over 4.5. I think either side, I'm gonna highlight this, is like minus 1.5 on T1, 2.8 on JDG. It's 3.09 at a minus 1.5. So that's like those are huge odds to take if you really think it's a -1. If you think it's 3-1 either way, that is the bet to take without a doubt. I will also shout out kill spreads, because I'm not looking so much at the Rogue JDG game, because I think that's not such a great one. But in the game that JDG lost to Damwon here, 27 kills. In the T1 RNG games, you had 25 kills in game 1, you had 27 in game 2, and you had 37 game 3.
Yeah.
And so looking at it, taking the over 23.5 kills maybe at 1.714 is a really good one on map 1. Or if you want to be safer, you can look at like under 25.5 for 1.6, maybe under 24.5 for 1.8 on map 1. I think is a good one. Looking at maps 2, 3 onwards, I would really be looking at the over 23.5 kills or over 24.5 kills. So 23.5 gives you 1.7, over 24.5 gives you 1.91. Depends on where your appetite is. Make it a little bit safer, but so I think 23.5 is a safer one. I think 1.7 is a good return. If you get really ballsy and you think it's going to be a bloodbath, which interestingly, T1 games have been. Like, T1 has not been shy about having fights. You can take an over 25.5 kills, you're getting 2.16, and I think that's pretty huge.
I don't know if
he's already picked
this.
T1.
This is only going one way. It's only going one way. There's nothing else to say here. I can't believe that we're discounting Owner right now.
We're not discounting him.
I'm not discounting you. I think it's phenomenal. I think T1 has played so
You are discounting
I am discounting Kanavi. I 100% am. This is gonna listen. End of the day, Zeus sustains top. This entire match is over very quickly. JDG's win on is fucking 369. So that's it. It's the end of the story.
That's the way it's gonna be. I'm so excited for this match, and I really hope it delivers. I hope we don't get a 3-0. I hope we get a 5-game series, because I think it's gonna be so exciting. I expect
one pentakill. I expect one pentakill in that match.
We need one more. We need
I know what my last point was. I want to see the Bloodsaw guy. That's what I was going to say.
Whoever wins this, I think wins Worlds.
I don't agree.
Listen, I actually don't know if I agree, because I do love a good storyline. Now there's 2 that are at play that I'll tell you how this final ends, but we'll get into it.
Final thoughts, Scoot, before we move on to the next one?
No, I just want to see the Buzzsaw guy.
You just want to see the Buzzsaw guy. Okay. What I want to see is our fans liking and subscribing. We really appreciate it. It supports us.
Yeah, you're really begging.
Well, you know what? We had all those comments and stuff, and I'm like, just fucking like or dislike the goddamn video. Just throw that in. Also, don't just slander us in our comment section. Come join the Discord and slander us right there.
Slander us and subscribe.
Slander us on every video.
No, that
if
actually
we're that dumb. surely you want to insult us for the next bad call, and you might as well do it in the Discord, which you'll find a link in the description, because we're right there chatting, and you can do it live. Can you imagine the thrill you guys would have had while that T1 was rolling over RNG and I'm in the Discord, and you could have been talking shit on me. You could have been part of the winning team right then and there.
I was reading a pretty serious study the other day, and the number one way to cure anger is actually to hit the fucking subscribe button. And I told that to one of the viewers.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
It's actually crazy. It's crazy how that works out, right?
Well, what a coincidence.
Backed by science. Can't argue with it.
Yeah. All right.
Dr. Oz.
Gen.G DRX. This is actually a pretty exciting one because we have DRX. Chris, 100% right. Massively overlooked, I think. 4th seed, a bit of a forgotten team coming in.
That's all I wanted to hear.
But they are fucking popping off. Zeka is looking incredible. Deft is just playing really well. I think top lane was a little bit, sometimes a bit like, what are you doing? But they're going against a Gen.G
Barrel.
Barrel fed. Barrel was like, what are you doing? Brother Barrel nearly won me a lot of money. Unfortunately, he chose not to. Comrade Barrel did not come through. But on the flip side, we have Gen.G, who has won the LCK for the first time, matching up against them. Now, this is just ridiculous, because if you think Gen.G is better, the odds are awful. It's 1.2.
So
DRX has a 4.2 on them.
And guess what?
I'm like, you got to just throw a little bit.
And guess what? The line is going to get worse, because
yeah,
as someone who is a ardent DRX supporter this year, Gen.G is going to win this game. And they're going to win it 3-1 or 3-0. And it's like,
well, you see, if they 3-1 it, you can get plus 2.5 at 1.4.
But you're better off just doing over 3.5. If you believe that over 3.5 is 1.48, you get better odds.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I do think the best odds on the side of Gen.G is like minus 1.5 at 1.5.
It's so gross. Like, that's not
it's so mediocre.
Yeah,
it's so mediocre. So
I'm not going to be.
Odds are just not great here. No. But I do feel like DRX is being overlooked a little bit again here, because Zeka, Deft, they definitely have the ability to take a game. So
yeah, but it's the playmakers around them that make this series nearly impossible to win. Like, you've got top to bottom on Gen.G. That roster is clean, like front to back. They play, I mean, extremely consistent League of Legends. We've seen that. They make their mistakes. They correct those mistakes. They come out. They teach the other team how to play Lucian Nami bot in Game 5.
You guys have the line for a correct score line?
What line do you want? I have all of them.
I want the 3-1. What's 3-1 to
Gen.G 3-1, 2.95.
Yeah, you see, like that's a bet I would throw down. 3-0, I would like, maybe you take the minus 2.5.
3-0 is 2.65.
I would probably, no, you see, I would stack that. So Gen.G minus 2.5 at 2.72. Put some on that, and then take a 3-1 on the score line.
I'm stuck between saying two things right now, and they both impact how the final ends up. Because if Gen.G ends up in this final, they will lose to T1.
You mean the
it's
JDG?
just going to be the ultimate revenge story, and no, JDG's not going to the final. We've already established.
By the way, no one called me out for my. I've learned my lesson. I didn't make a prediction for that match, so I just hope both teams have fun. No,
yeah, okay,
I think
that's
at
great.
the moment
You're really
I need to go back
yourself
and
today.
reward.
So Gen.G T1 final, Gen.G loses that all day. Literally has to. It's written in the fucking stars. T1's not going to lose to them twice in the same year in a final, and this time everything's on the line. Also, new coach, drafting differently, way more comfortable. Team looks better. Meta suits them really well. DRX, and I think they can pull off an upset over Gen.G, partially. Because
in one game, sure.
EDG didn't belong in a final last year. I think everyone would argue going into quarterfinals, that team did not belong anywhere near a final. And like they are your champion. They're the reigning champ right now.
The team that won didn't deserve to be there.
They realistically really didn't. Like, if you actually think about what everyone was saying about them. I'm not going to say they didn't deserve to be there, obviously. That's what I'm saying right now, but a lot of people counted them out. That's essentially the point. DRX is being treated the same way. And if it is Deft's final tournament of his career, there's like a lot on the line for this team. Like, more than I think people are letting on and understanding. If it were to be a DRX T1 final, I think it's more likely that T1 were to lose.
Wow. You're going against you are like the biggest T1 maxi.
I did not listen, I did not predict T1 to lose yet. we're not at that stage of breakdown.
Not win. They're not going to make it to the final.
I think DRX beats Gen.G here.
Wow.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Look,
and I think we get a real competitive final on the back of it.
I'm not necessarily against that. Like, if that's the situation, it's a pretty, the line is there.
Yep.
I mean, let's also remember spring too. Like, take this way back. T1 went 18-0, dominated the LCK, went into an international tournament, and like it wasn't the same T1 that you got. And I don't think we're getting the same Gen.G right now. Like, Gen.G dominated summer in the LCK, and I think like these teams got bullied enough to where like it's not the same Gen.G that's playing right now. If you go back and watch their games, so. I worry that like people are doing the same thing that they do with T1, where like T1 had the field against T1 odds prior to MSI. And it almost feels like Gen.G is getting that amount of respect right now. And I don't think they're playing that level of league.
But I do agree with Chris's point. Like, when I look across the board, the victory for DRX comes through Zeka and Deft for me. Like, and Deft is even secondary. I don't think Deft has been that incredible this world.
Right.
You look on the flip side, I'm like, Gen.G has a pretty stacked roster across the board. Peanut is maybe the worst performing player, in my opinion, on the side.
And by
Doran,
the way,
like,
he's definitely had some questionable playmaking, whether it be nerves or whatever. Unquestionably, you had Canyon taking it to him.
But when I look at it, I'm like, Ruler Lehens, I put them over Deft and Barrel. And it's very much like a two-person thing.
Won't disagree with that.
You disagree with that? You think Brother Barrel?
I said I won't. I said I won't.
Like, man, I'm going in on you.
I just think
these comments have taught me how to be toxic, Scoot. I'm worried. I think Zeka Chovy. Probably maybe I give it to Zeka. Peanut, though, I probably take him over, and Doran, I definitely take him over. And that's the uphill battle.
Yeah, that's my problem is top lane. I think there's a chance that Kingen gets pretty.
If I were to play devil's advocate, I had Gen.G destroying Damwon, and the fact is, and you were on it. Some people in our Discord were on it. Robert in particular, that with DRX at that money line was a much better play. Like, there's just no way, and they honestly could have. You could argue that. Damwon should have beat Gen.G. So with that in mind, like, as much as I think Gen.G is the better team and should handle DRX, like, they're definitely not flawless. So if you want to take the plus 1.5 at 2.48, the over 3.5, like, it feels like no way Gen.G gets a clean 3-0 on this against a team a team that's been playing them all season long. Like, DRX fucking knows Gen.G better than almost any other team, right? And maybe that's why Damwon had such success against Gen.G as well. When you have these teams that play each other that often, like, you're just going to have closer matches. They know how to scout each other. They know your strengths and weaknesses more often. So I love the over 3.5 and then the plus 1.5 at 2.48. I still think Gen.G comes out on top, but the only way I'm betting on this game is if it's on DRX. Kind of with that.
Yeah, I think what was interesting is, like, looking back at, like, playoffs, DRX lost to Sandbox. In the regional finals, they came back and they beat KT Rolster, and then they beat Sandbox in a very close series. Yeah. The thing about the thing there, though, when it was the playoffs and Gen.G faced off against Sandbox, they beat them 3-1. It just makes me feel like fundamentally Gen.G is the better team. It's the struggle I'm having here.
Agreed.
But I think like the 3-1 call. I like the
betting 1.20 on the money line. Just not.
Yeah, no way. Like, and actually, by the way, I'm staying away from kills as well because both series were flip flopping. So you had some games which were like 30 kills, and then the next game would be like 18. Yeah. And it was really.
I was rewatching, like, I think it was game 3 or something, and it was like in the 32nd minute there was like 5 kills total. You're like, what?
Yeah, but then the game before or after had 30 kills, and so I'm just kind of staying away from it. I would say that if you really are going for something, you can take the minus spreads here. In that when they win, they seem to be winning with more. But the problem is that the odds, like, I would want to take a minus 4.5 or minus 5.5, but it's a 1.5. So the odds only get good when you're doing the minus 8.5, 7.5, or 6.5. Even 6.5 is a 1.6, which is a bit like, when we're talking about these prop bets, we always have the rule of like having a 1.66 as like the lower limit. So if you win 2 out of 3, you're okay. So it's -7.5, -8.5. Like there were games where they were winning by that much, and so that's fine. This is the problem because they flip flop. Let's say it's a 3-0. Are we getting 2 games that are tight and 1 game that's a blowout, or are we getting 2 blowouts and 1 tight? And I don't know. So I'm kind of this is not a great betting game.
Well, every game's a great betting game, but not in kills.
Every Bears football.
All right, I think that's it. I don't think we have anything else. Well, but it is. Either way, I do think the Gen.G DRX will be fun because it's like, can Zeka defeat the Church of Chovy essentially? And then this the end of the line?
I just want to hear it.
It's a massive storyline because Deft has never even made semis. Now he's made it. Are we gonna see something historic? And like that's super exciting.
I mean, I just before we go, I want to hear in one word and no more. Like, who do you guys have winning?
JDG. It's gonna be fucking annoying as shit too, because we're gonna have 3 Korean teams and 1 Chinese team and 1 Chinese.
Do you guys know what the?
You guys already know my prediction, so
the exchange rate is the renminbi to the dollar. I just got a recent influx of ren. I need to look to.
You got a recent influx of Alibaba stock, which is
it's weird. I don't know where it came from, but I joined a Telegram group and they told me that China #1, and that was it. So here we are.
Predict China.
All right, guys.
You already know my prediction. It's obvious. Everybody knows it. I've been saying it all year.
I'm sad though. We're coming to the end. Like this has suddenly gotten. It was kind of like play-ins was fine. Groups was like okay, and then we started getting like some bangers at the end of groups. Week 1 for Europe was so exciting, but it was like disappointing week 2, and then these quarters just have been like a complete blind. Like it's so upsetting we don't have a lower bracket because I would love to see Damwon playing against EDG. Rogue versus RNG, not so much.
Yeah.
Like there's a separate factor there. But all right, everyone, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. As always, I already mentioned it. Like and subscribe. It really does help us. Join our Discord. Even if you don't want to like and subscribe, just join the Discord. It's fun.
Agreed.
We're chatting about stuff. We're probably going to be talking about COD pretty soon. We have a sister podcast called The Money Hill that covers CDL. That's about it. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next week.
I'll do the polar plunge if we hit 100 subscribers in the next 2 weeks.
I would take you up on that.
All right, that's a deal.
Something I don't want to do at all. So
cool. There you go.
There you go.
Bye, everyone.
Peace out.